Hello, hello, everyone. I'm Pirate,
And I'm Marichen.
and we're back. Sorry. Uh, life has gotten certainly crazy. I don't know about you, but every weekend I'm basically doing double what I'm doing normally on weekends, especially because I work at home now. And life has just gotten completely insane on top of what we're dealing with the human malware.
Yeah, honestly, I thought with all of that going on, I wouldn't be as busy, but it turns out life got 10 times busier. And I've not had any time for anything outside of work. And I go to school online full time year
Mm-hmm.
round. So between that and then my fiance and I getting an apartment and trying to move in, it has been insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so bad because this podcast got put on the back burner, but I'm so glad to be back at it again.
Yes. And hopefully we might be able to get a consistent schedule. But for at least now, we got you a brand new episode. Uh, Fear not, we are alive. We are kicking. We are doing just fine. Um, I work from home now most of the time. I'm going back into the office next week. Essentially, in Virginia, we're in phase two. And my job is being overtly cautious, abundantly cautious. So there's less than 10 people in a building at the time. If it's going to have any one of us being in our offices, there's going to be at least 12 feet apart. So it's basically going to be myself in the department at the building, which is fine. I've done that before. But it's just going to be interesting because I've only gone back maybe one day a month to do what I do at work, what I need to do at there, because 90% of what I do, I can do at home. So next week, all next week, I'm going to be in the office, but we're off Friday, which is nice. So it's going to be like a nice, like 4 day week. So it's not as burdensome this time, but it's going to be interesting to balance that work life. So I don't know about you, but especially with what I'm doing at work, I know you had said you're going back to work eventually, but I'm doing 3 times at home what I do than I did at the office, which is completely insane, but is true.
Yeah, working from home as a paralegal, you can't really do,
No,
honestly.
no.
And so while I was at home, I didn't have a whole lot to do in that regards,
Mm-hmm.
but between moving and doing schoolwork, that kind of filled my time.
Mm-hmm.
And now being back at the office, it's an overload of paperwork and all the fun things that come along with being a paralegal. So,
Of course. Of course. Of course it's going to be crazy and everything, but that's life for you. So today's episode, we like we said, we wanted to catch everybody up with what's going on, but there's a couple things I wanted to touch on in this episode. First being the craziness that is 4 record store days now this year, and then some of the stuff that is going on in the world right now that we just cannot not talk about. So I'd like to start kind of with. It's not necessarily, well, there is some negative stuff going on right now that we do need to talk about, but what we want to do is celebrate some of our favorite black artists.
yes.
I am looking forward to this part of the discussion, but I want to start off first because one of our last episodes was Record Store Day, and that has changed. I don't know how many times since we've put up videos and talked about it. It has changed exponentially with what's
Mhm.
going on in the world right now. The interesting thing is everything is pressed. It's just getting it out there for everybody.
Mhm. It's making it safer for everyone.
Yeah. Fun fact: Vinyl Days Records, my home shop, celebrated 9 years this month. 9 years of
Oh,
being open.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a mini heart attack reading the post. It's like we've been open since July. Like, please tell me you're not closing down. And we're celebrating 9 years this year. Thank goodness.
That would have been like the world's worst thing to happen. Like the entire time we were in quarantine here in Kentucky, I was like, please don't close down. Please don't put up a post saying like we can no longer be a store because we have no money or whatever. So I tried to support my local store by
Me
going and
too.
doing curbside pickup. So,
What was nice about my store was Martin, the owner, he worked with the governor. He was able to stay open. He found a way to stay open. Our governor here, I think one time, as kind of went on, he said, if you want to buy like a toy for your kid, he'd rather you go to like a local shop around here, support that small business. So somehow he found a way and still has found a way to be open, which is amazing. You know, he went down to like handful of hours just because of operating costs. I know I'm a business major. I understand business and everything. So, but it's just awesome because now he's back to full-time hours. Last time I was there, and I'll explain what I got last time I was there. You know, we had gotten to talking for at least 20 minutes because there was not that many people in the shop, and he and I talked. I've gone for years, so we're on a first name basis. It's like a buddy talk every time we're there, which is great. If you can get in that kind of relationship with your local shop, that is great to have. But we were talking about the record store days happening, and he and I agreed. Why are we doing it this way? If we can get closer to November and have a vaccine, just roll everything into November Record Store Day. Honestly. And I'm actually liable to agree with him. Because if you think about it, and I watched a couple of videos in the VC and just on YouTube in general. There was one dude, he owns a record shop, and he says he puts down at least, I think his number said 60,000 just for that weekend alone for all he has to do. So the margin can be very slim on the records. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to have it be Record Store Day drops the 3. That sounds more like a label thing than it is a supporting the independent business thing. That's just me, though.
yeah, no, I completely agree because for 4 months from August to November, you're having a record store day like one Saturday a month. And to me, that's so stressful for record stores because a lot of record stores like go all out and have live music and food and a bunch of other really cool things going on in their store. And to do that like 3 different times for like just the normal April record store day and to have to do it again for Black Friday record store day. I mean, now you're having it like 4 months in a row. And I honestly just, I don't even know like how you could make each one special and like make it like a normal record store day. But I get where they are coming from because they want to limit everyone's exposure. But I do think that if they would have just made a few more releases to come out for the Black Friday record store day and just made one big list, I think that would have honestly been better for the stores.
Right. And, you know, I'm just paraphrasing just from memory. It's like, what are we going to do? Only let 6 people in? Normally, he lets maybe the first 10 or so people in. There's markers on the floor for the 6 feet. There's masks. He requires masks. There is sanitizer as soon as you walk in. There are gloves as soon as you walk in. And in an upcoming video, which I'm revealing to my co-host, I actually shot B-roll footage of my favorite record shop, so y'all can finally see Vinyl Days Records in all its glory.
Yeah, I mean,
so excited.
I don't know what ours is going to do either because our store is so small. He can only allow 5 people in at a time.
Right.
And of course, he likes, you know, everyone wearing masks and he has sanitizer and everything like that in there. I think honestly this year, the best way to go about it is in the lines outside to give people a list of the things that are dropping that day and that you have in stock and just kind of curate it for them. Like I know Amoeba in LA does this every year on Record Store Day where they hand out the list and people mark what they want and they have the bags ready for them when they go in. So there's not a lot of chaos. I honestly just think that's probably the most fair way to do it.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, every store is different and every store is going to decide something on their own and make their own rules. But I just really think that's probably the best way to go about it and to minimize people coming in contact with everybody.
Exactly. And the one thing I liked about my local shop was you saw some of the same people every year. And sometimes they come later, sometimes they come earlier. They'd be like, oh, what number did you get? How are you? How's your year been? And then you just, chit chat for maybe 5 or 10 minutes while you're in line. And I'm going to miss that portion of it because we're going to have to be 6 feet apart, even when we're waiting for numbers, if that happens to be the case. And my shop's awning is pretty small. I mean, it's relatively decent sized sometimes for a normal record store day. But if it's socially distanced, you got to get there early enough to make sure that if you're going to sit outside, that you have the awning on top of you. And a lot of the times it rains on record store day. So,
yeah. And it's cold.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say this, the main release that I wanted is not until November anyway. The My Chemical Romance was my number one on my list. It's popped to Black Friday Record Store Day, which I have some concerns on. But if, my shop decides not to participate for one of those holidays or one of those days, I'm not going to be mad. One, because it's always supposed to be for the celebration of the local record shop, which I've been going to and trying to as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
And, the couple of things that I kind of want are on the first Saturday anyway. The Billie Eilish, the Denzel Curry, and the Dune soundtrack. I don't feel really like going in October for the Black Sabbath. As much as I love Black Sabbath, I'm kind of like, I was actually okay with not having Record Store Day. We've gotten to the point where I was okay not having it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like when they pushed it off to June, I was really disappointed, but I also understood why they did.
Mm-hmm.
And when they decided to split it up into 3 different days, I honestly was just kind of like, I'm done with Record Store Day at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are some really nice releases that I really want to get.
Yes.
I'm probably going to end up going all 3 days because mine are actually pretty evenly spaced out. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 to 4 that I want each day. So, being able to save the money for Record Store Day, hopefully I'd be able to get them all if they're all in stock and whatnot at the store. But, I mean, I'm just kind of over it at this point. That sounds really bad because Record Store Day is one of my favorite days of the year. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I look forward to Record Store Day every year, but I feel like this year I'm just over everything. Like 2020 is a complete crap hole. So,
and that I read a fun theory that somebody said, someone is time traveling and trying to make 2020 better, but every time they mess up and make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's so true. It feels like each month something else happens and it just gets worse. Like nothing can just calm down and go back to normal.
I think now we're on like meth crocodiles or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that wouldn't surprise me where I live. Everyone in the ghetto here is on meth and whatever else you can think of.
But yeah,
that sounds really mean. I don't mean to be that mean, but like there are just a lot of drug heads in the country, like honestly.
And that's another problem we can touch on another time. But yeah, there's a problem with that. But it's just this year, we felt, it's going to be a brand new decade, and then things just fell. The not the roof caved in, but the rug was pulled, and we're at a trying time in humanity. So this is unprecedented for a lot of people. So just trying to navigate, I feel like you're winning if you're just navigating and surviving. If you can make money, if you can pay your bills right now, if you can have a roof over your head and you're surviving, if you could stay home, if you have the luxury to do that, if you can, there's a lot to be thankful for now. I think, not that I haven't been thankful in the past, but I'm definitely a lot more thankful now than I have been in quite some years. Despite it being a very negative year, despite, us being kind of like, yeah, we're done with Record Store Day. It's, we're going through a tough time and everybody's dealing with it, which is kind of really unique.
Yeah, I think it's made me feel more thankful for things that I was able to do that I just accepted as social norms, like getting to go eat at a restaurant on a Friday night, or going out to the movies with my friends, or going shopping, or, going to the record store, just going out to Walmart and getting groceries and hugging people and seeing people and, interacting with everybody without masks and standing 6 feet apart. It's really made me open my eyes and be like, okay, you seriously need to like be thankful when everything goes back to normal, because you'll remember this for the rest of your life. And this is just such a weird time. It's crazy.
It is. And this is my last year of my 20s, to be kind of open about it. This is what a way to end the 20s for me. You know, I'm going to be 30 next year. So what a way to end it. But it's not all negative out there. Like we said, the My Chemical Romance is coming out on Black Friday, which I was like, where is it? What happened to it? Because that was my number one thing. And now it's something that I can look forward to in November. If my store decides that they can't financially make it for all 3 days, I'm fine with that. I'm still going to go on that first Saturday no matter what. I took some vacation time, some much needed vacation time, and that's going to end my week. So come hell or high water, I'm going to my record shop that Saturday. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go all 3 Saturdays for the normal record store day. And of course, I'll be going on Black Friday because I'm excited about that. And I was really worried about the My Chemical Romance release too, because I was really excited about that. And I was like, where did it go? Where did it go? And then I was like, well, I bet they probably got pushed to November. Because another release that I was looking forward to was the Best Coast Thank You 7-inch that had like 2 unreleased songs from their newest album, and it wasn't on there either. And I was like, no, I was so looking forward to that. And then I just assumed they probably put it on the Black Friday list. So,
which the Black Friday list was always more for the Christmas crowd, the more not saying that the stuff that we're seeing in April is kind of like not consumer friendly, but more for like the mainstream Christmas gifts, like the My Chemical Romance, the Best Coast, the David Bowie's or the Prince's, like the higher, like more well-known stuff, because I gotta go get little Timmy's record for Christmas.
Yeah, I feel like they also have like a lot of like kids stuff and just like Christmas albums in general. Like one year they had like the Twisted Sister Christmas album come out.
Right.
I remember that.
I'm kicking myself because I didn't get the Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and the only release I can get right now is a picture disc, and I'm not paying for picture disc. I don't. And I'm not able to financially do what I want to do this year for Record Store Day because I kept buying other stuff when I saw it, like the Hayley Williams box set. Or I just happen to go to my favorite record store and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to dip into my record fund and just buy something now. Like before all this went down, I bought one of the Lights acoustic albums. I love that album. But it's kind of like I got to be realistic with my budget and everything. So it's kind of like even right now, there are some people that are unemployed and just barely scraping by and surviving. So why can't we put this to November when people are more likely to dive in, and spend a little bit more around the Christmas time, But I have a serious question. What are they going to release for Black Friday? I know we have those couple of releases, but now's the time when we normally get hype up for what's going to come out for November, and everything's starting to get pressed right now. So with the pandemic and everything, I know that Q Rates, if you watch Too Many Records, you know that he has his own label and he presses through Q Rates, or crates, however you want to say it. They're pressing records right now, but we don't know what other places are pressing, what are not, and what the state of everything is. Because last year we had Garth Brooks take up 7 million records, which, if you know me, you know exactly from my tone of voice what I thought about that.
Oh, I agree.
Did I tell you about the release that I wasn't able to get because of that?
You did. I remember we talked about that on one of our episodes, I think.
Well, for those who are brand new listeners, I wanted a copy of Switchfoot's The Beautiful Letdown. It was from SRC Vinyl. Do not buy from them. This is a negative endorsement for obvious reasons. But they were the ones that were supposed to press a half blue, half clear pressing. And it's now over a year and it's not been pressed. And I have assumptions that Garth Brooks took precedent because I got word from one interaction on Twitter that basically other things were being pressed first, which makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, honestly, I think like when the plants get the orders in, like, if Eminem wants like 500 copies of his newest album or whatever, and then like Lady Gaga wants 1,000 of her newest album, it shouldn't be like just, oh, Lady Gaga is a little more popular right now than Eminem. Let's press hers first.
I wonder if there's
No.
incentives to pressing certain things. Maybe, I don't
Yeah.
know. And of course, we got plants that are struggling right now with the pandemic. But even then, if you remember, we talked about the lacquer fire. That seems like 3 years ago now.
Oh my gosh, I know. Like every month this year has seemed like a full on year in itself. Like it's ridiculous.
But at least we can laugh about it. We're surviving. We can laugh about it. But yeah, we were like, oh, where's the industry going to go? We were so naive back then, doe-eyed. What's going to happen to the industry? I mean, we're going to at least have Record Store Day this year. And then,
look at us now.
We're like, where did the murder hornets go? Where did the murder hornets go? Where did the murder hornets go anyway?
I'm curious about that too. And I want to say, like, I'm not trying to make light of the situation by any means.
Right.
Like, I know there are people that have been affected by this. And, like, I'm not trying to make fun of that in any way. I'm just from a standpoint of, like, someone who's just been cooped up, which I know most of you all probably are. It's just like you feel like the year can't get any more ridiculous than it already has. I don't mean that in like a negative way. Like,
I would say watch your words, but at this point, I'm like, if something random happened, I'd be like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, honestly, like if something just come out of the blue, like I honestly would not be surprised anymore because this year has just been so crazy. But somewhere my mom had read like an old almanac from the 80s or something that like predicted a pandemic would happen this year.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like some lady that she cleans for apparently like keeps all these old almanacs and was talking about this one that had like predictions that there would be a pandemic in 2020. And I was like, that's really weird. Like it didn't go into a lot of detail about like what type of pandemic, but the fact that it like guessed a pandemic really freaked me out. Like I've never really believed in the almanacs. Like, I just always thought they were kind of like, I guess, hearsay or something, like wives' tales. Like just it happened to be whatever. I don't know. Like I just never really was a big fan of them. But after that, I'm like, okay, maybe whoever makes these knows what they're talking about.
Like we said, we're not making light of anything. We're just we're all cooped up and just trying to deal with it. It's a tough time, and music has been helpful to me. I don't know about you, but I moved my stereo into the room that I'm recording now because this is my office. That didn't work, so I got my new pair of speakers, which are Glitch speakers, and I absolutely love them. I finally have a stereo rack, so my turntable sits on a nice piece of furniture now and not a rickety end table. So everything's starting to come together in my record room. I'm like really happy. So the last record I bought was 21 Pilots' self-titled album.
Ooh, nice.
It is a BOOT, but the colors, I'm telling you, do you remember Cream Savers candy?
Yes.
You remember the pink Cream Savers, like the pinky orange one?
Uh-huh.
That's what disc 2 looks like.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'll after we're done recording, I'll send you pictures via DM. But it is crazy. The only thing is it has a bunch of static on record 1, and I put it in polyline sleeves, and it's still staticky. So I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to have to break down and buy MoFi sleeves to help with the freaking static.
I love my MoFi sleeves. I know a lot of people are like, they're overpriced. You can buy cheaper inner sleeves that work just as well.
No.
Anti-static.
No. Anti-static. That's the main draw, is the anti-static.
Yeah, for real. Honestly, like I know a lot of people use the Disc Keeper inner sleeves, which are like a little bit cheaper. And I get it. Like that's cool. But I love my MoFi sleeves.
Yep. The only thing I'll say is the corners can bend easy, but if it protects the record, it's fine.
Oh
Like,
yeah, for sure. Like I'm all about it. I bought some of the disc keeper sleeves for like my 7 inches and 10 inches
hmm
because I was like, you know what? I don't play these as often, but I still feel like I should get some sort of inner sleeve for these.
right.
And I couldn't find them anywhere. And like, this is not like a paid promotion or anything, but
hmm
guys,
Yes.
SleevecityUSA.com, the
Yes.
best place to get inner sleeves. And I've even gotten like white LP jackets for my picture discs because I absolutely despise those like plastic things they come in that are just like so
Yes.
flimsy and gross.
Do you know they
And
also can imprint after a while? They can imprint on the surface of the picture disc.
yeah, yeah. And I hate that. And I hate the thought of that. So I was able to find white LP jackets there.
Nice.
And I mean, they just have so much. I've never bought any inner, like, I bought inner sleeves and my jackets from there, but
hmm
I've not bought any like outer sleeves from there.
hmm
But I know they have them.
Aren't they the company
So
that has like the special outer sleeves that like you could put the jacket in like and seal it up and then put the records behind it?
they might have
I
those. I'm
think
not
because
sure.
Frank from Channel 33 RPM interviewed somebody. I think it was from that website. If I'm incorrect, and Frank, you're listening, you could correct me in the comments. But shout out to Channel 33 RPM. They're a great channel. He actually did a video recently, 2 videos on hacks for record collectors. Like, you know, the Onzao Zero Dust, which has gone up in stupid price right now.
Uh-huh.
He has alternatives for that.
Yeah, I found some cheaper alternatives for that on
Yeah.
Amazon.
I have one, but I bought it when you could buy it for $30.
Yeah, yeah. See, even for me, that was a little too steep. I'm like, I like to take care of my records, but that's a little steep price for me there.
Yeah.
I found one for like $15 on Amazon that, had a lot of really good reviews.
Yeah.
So,
So whatever you want to use, just make sure you're cleaning your stylus. And Michael over at Analog Planet suggests that you do it every side. You clean your stylus every
mhm.
side. So that's what I do. Even though it adds to the routine, I luckily, where I'm at my turntable, which I'm trying to upgrade eventually, I take it off the turntable, put it lightly on. That's why I always like to leave like the jacket or the inner sleeve behind me, because the room has a bed like right in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll leave the inner sleeve on the bed, put the record on the sleeve, clean the stylus, put the record back, brush it, go there. So I kind of have a routine, and I think everybody has their routine when it comes to that. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting moved into my new place, so I've not been able to listen to records for like a month now, I think, or close to a
Oof.
month.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
I started moving my collection over there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a nightmare.
I'll bet it was a
Like,
nightmare to move it. I will bet it was a
yeah,
nightmare to move it.
I have over 1,000 records. So, granted, it was just across town. It was such a hassle to move that
Yeah.
many. And my dad and I are actually building a shelving unit for my records, which is really cool
Nice.
because all of the units that I found that I wanted to put my records in were way overpriced,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And I was like, you know what? I could probably make something cheaper. And
Right.
that's true. So I'm working on that. And I've got most of the music room set up. I've got my record player set up over there.
Nice.
And Jared has gotten his records set up over there. So now it's just kind of like waiting on mine. I have these like bins full of my records
Mm-hmm.
just waiting for my shelving units to be finished.
Nice. I use the
So,
IKEA Klax. Those can be a little pricey, but I had the money at the time, so I got it, of course. But I don't know if I'll continue to use those or not. I like the build on them, but I could probably build something. The thing is, I don't have a table to build on. I just have a couple of horses and like some circuit saw. It's kind of like I have piecemeal tools. So
mhm.
if I eventually wanted to, I'm gonna have to get stuff so I can make stuff. So right now I have to stick with the buying, at the store type of deal.
Yeah, I had like the Better Homes and Gardens
Okay.
ones from Walmart. So
Okay.
they're like similar because I don't have an IKEA near me. The closest IKEA is like 3 hours away.
Wow.
So, um, that was kind of what I had. And Jared is actually using those because his collection is significantly smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And mine outgrew those shelves like really quickly. And I had like bins in my room that I had my records in, and it really wasn't working out.
Yeah.
So now they're in those bins over at my new place, and they're going to be hopefully put up in some nice units. My thing was finding something that fit in our small space because our apartment is so small.
Right.
So I wanted to find something that I could fit a lot of records in and still have room to grow and not like take up the entire space. So I'm really excited about what I have planned out, and I cannot wait to show it when it gets finished, because I'm probably going to be doing like a whole music room tour, because I've never had like a music room. It's always been just in my room. So I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, I need to do an updated room tour myself because things have changed in the room. Some things kind of on the wall are the same. I might pull my test pressing because I won a test pressing a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, it's cool. It's a test pressing. I probably won't play it. I should probably play it at least once just to see what's on there. But yeah, it's just my music room has evolved to quite a bit, especially like I said, I got my cabinet and everything. So we're both going to have to do new room tours. And what hasn't been helping for me is I've been playing a lot of Nintendo Switch lately. I have been glued to my Nintendo Switch the past like 2 weeks. So it's like, I have to tell myself, no, as much as you love Zelda Breath of the Wild, you need to take a break. You have some records that you need to listen to. Go listen to some records.
Yeah, it's really pained me not being able to listen to records. Like, all of my physical media is over at the house. All my CDs. I only have a couple of cassettes. I'm not a huge cassette person. But my records, like everything is over there. And it's really painful to not be able to listen to those.
Yeah, it probably is really painful. So I'll send some good vibes towards you and all that, and everything will be set up, and it'll be awesome and amazing. And yeah, so we've just been busy. I think the narrative is life can be crazy busy. Despite even a pandemic, life can be busy.
Yeah, I feel like the pandemic just made my life 10 times more hectic.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like, how does a pandemic that, like, you have to stay at your home, how does it make you busier? Like, I just don't understand.
The good thing is we've been getting the house fixed up. For those that don't know, I took over basically my childhood home. So I found some faulty wiring that's been fixed. I had do you know what carpenter bees are by chance?
Yes, I do.
So we had a carpenter bee problem. That's been fixed, thankfully. Knock on wood. But the peaks to the house, the trim and everything has a bunch of holes in it because there was a lovely woodpecker that decided to make munchies of an entire portion of my house.
Oh, no.
So luckily we're having a painter come in this weekend, and he's going to plug up the holes and paint because I'm basically doing Band-Aid stuff. So it's kind of like stuff that's needed to be done for years. We're finally getting done. But, you know, the way some of the housing wiring is, oh yeah, we're going into wiring now. This is music podcast. We're talking about house wiring, but there's a point to it. But there was one plug outside that was kind of like the tripper for both bathrooms in the house. And when it rained, it would get soaked behind there, which doesn't sound like a good thing for a plug. Now, does it?
Not at all.
So now it kind of sticks outside of the wall and has a cover over it. And then we also have a nice breaker in for the kitchen because they didn't do like some what's called, I think, trip wiring. So if water, heaven forbid, water gets out of the sink and close to something that's plugged in, it won't shock you. But we wanted to place them directly on the plugs. Well, whoever we hired years and years and years and years and years ago to do the backsplash went all the way to the edge of the plug. So there was no way without doing tile work that he could get in there and do anything. My house is weird. For some reason, I got a weird house.
There's nothing wrong with the weird house. My apartment's
No.
really weird too. Trust me, it's no glam apartment. It is like bare bones basic
Hey,
and
hey, but it's your own
you know,
place. It is your
yeah,
own
it is
place.
somewhere. It is a start
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I don't necessarily love it, but
It's
it'll
a
get me somewhere I do love in the future. So,
it'll be a stepping stone. And
yeah.
the good thing with this pandemic is not to talk completely business and all this and that, but there are some really good interest rates now. So if you start saving up, eventually you could end up with a house at some point. So y'all are just starting out, but start saving that money and becoming that first time homeowner. It really is. It is feasible. It is a feasible thing to do. You know, a couple of years down the line, you should be able to do it. And the reason I speak this is I semi work in the real estate industry. I can't say exactly where, but I work in that field, so I understand basically, not the culture, but what's going on in that market.
Yeah. We actually have been kind of saving money. I've saved money since I started working,
Mm-hmm.
like for a house and car and stuff. I have quite a bit put back. But there's nothing wrong with having more because
Right.
the more you have, the better off you are.
Exactly.
But we've actually talked about like moving out of state too.
Oh,
So yeah,
it's
we're just
something.
like trying to figure like our perfect place, I guess, kind of. We have
Yeah.
a couple ideas
Mm-hmm.
but I know I don't want to go any further north because I hate cold weather. And that's like
Mm-hmm.
not shade at all to anybody who lives up north.
Nope.
I love New York. It's so pretty. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to live in New York or like Connecticut or Massachusetts or somewhere like that. But like, I just get cold in the wintertime and I would have to be
Yeah.
rich enough to have like a vacation house in Florida or something. So,
Right. What you might want to do is go for like a milder climate.
yeah,
And
like I
yeah,
want to move south. Like, even in Kentucky, like the winters here, I'm like, okay, this is too much. I need to live
yeah.
further south.
Virginia's not too bad. Um, if you go towards the mountains, of course, you're going to get snow.
Yeah.
But this area around here is pretty mild. Other than, of course, the occasional hurricane.
Yeah, that's another thing we've talked about too. Do we want to go close enough to the coast where we have to deal with hurricanes and all this other kind of fun
Uh,
stuff? So,
but we're also dealing with a gigantic Saharan dust cloud here soon. So,
oh boy, that's fun. We get to look forward to that next month.
no, it's coming this week.
Oh, well, that's your disaster of the week. Well, actually,
Ah,
this next week does kind of like flow into the next month
it
because
does. It
the
does.
first is on a what, Wednesday? So see, look, your disaster. You wanted to know your disaster for July? There it is.
Well, it's going to make the sunsets a little hazy. It's going to be in like the upper atmosphere. But
Uh-huh.
basically, a dust cloud from the Sahara moved all the way up through the Gulf Coast and is just going to be like, "Hi, USA."
Oh man.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
No. uh
Do you have anything more on the record store day and life as it is craziness before we move on?
I don't think so.
So we'd like to take a moment to basically disavow racism. There is systematic racism going on right now in the world. Um, I look at news stories every day, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I weep every day for the atrocities that I'm seeing. And even going off housing market and all that stuff, it's a mess. It's going to take a long time. I mean, not in real, not saying realistic terms, but we need to be honest about it. We need to learn from it. We need to disavow it. We need to go towards change. Radical change is great, but we also need it to be snuffed out long enough that it sticks.
Hmm.
So I am tired of deaths from the pandemic. I am tired of. I have friends that are afraid to go on walks, and I do not want that to happen. I
Yeah.
it's it's such a horrible time right now, and I wanted to say I speak for myself, but I disavow any form of racism. I've learned from the past and everything. There's also the cancel culture that we could touch on, but I don't know if I've said anything horrible in the past, and if I did, I sincerely apologize. And I've learned from it, obviously, now. But it's something that's been weighing heavily on here, and I wanted to dedicate it to some of those voices who right now are dealing with a lot more than we are on top of this pandemic.
Yeah, I think for me, this has been a learning experience. I mean, I feel like as a white person,
Mm-hmm.
I can never ever stop learning and educating
Right.
myself on what people of color go through, and just as a generalization, people of color, not just necessarily Black people or African Americans, whatever you prefer to call
Yes.
them, or whatever you prefer to be called, I guess. I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone learns every day. And, like you, I've probably said something in the past that I didn't think was inappropriate that we now know is. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not right. And I am so abundantly sorry for that. But I feel like everyone learns and evolves.
Mm-hmm.
And, as long as you keep learning and trying, you're doing good,
Exactly. So, I wanted to dedicate at least my side to George Floyd. Um, there's so many names in my head right now. I wish I could have written them down, but those voices that have had a chance for the media to help disavow the racism, and for all those who are basically silent and don't have this chance. I just wanted to dedicate this episode to their families. I know thoughts and prayers can only go so and so far, but I can just take this chance to use this platform to disavow the racism. And at least that's what I can do for now. My recommendation is search online with ways you can donate and help, even help your local area to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And also use the power, if you are over 18, use the power of your voice and vote.
Yes. Sign petitions. I've seen so many petitions going
Yes.
around. Please sign those petitions. I know I've mentioned that I live in Kentucky, and a lot of you probably know the name Breonna Taylor, that was
Yes.
murdered at her own home in Louisville, Kentucky. And that is
Yes.
so sad to think that that happened, hours away from where I live. And
Yeah.
I am so devastated. Like, my heart just breaks for her entire family. And the fact that was it her boyfriend or fiance? I'm not really sure. Her partner, I'm just going to leave it at that,
Yeah.
is arrested for her murder, even though he was defending them. And, it is so unreal how unfair this family has been treated. And
Mm-hmm.
my heart breaks for them. And I can't imagine. And I hate thinking that our police force in Kentucky is just that awful, but it is.
Yeah. But educate yourself. Take everything with the media with a grain of salt. Even take what we say with a grain of salt, because we
Mm-hmm.
are technically media. Like we said, we're still learning everything. And I'll say this with a grain of salt, that I saw something that was kind of eye-opening, and I hope that we can use this for leverage of change, that other countries, with the amount they educate their police force and how not little we do in ours, was kind of eye-opening. And it's like, I want to hope that that's not true. But if it is true and we can make change happen for the better and better educate, then I'm all for that.
Yeah, for sure. Just educate yourselves and form your own opinions.
Exactly.
So I think that's my biggest takeaway
Mm-hmm.
from everything, is just to educate myself and talk to people and understand what makes them feel hurt,
Yes.
and what things or phrases or whatever offends them and hurts them as a
Yes.
person.
Yes. And don't be afraid to bring up the subject if you feel like you are close enough with them and want to learn and want to understand. I think they're more than willing to talk to you about that.
Mm-hmm. I think they're more than willing to educate, but
Yes.
at the same time, don't belittle. Like, that's my thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be educated and you're serious about it, definitely ask a close friend or family member or someone
Yes.
you trust.
Yeah. With that, let's talk about some of our favorite Black and non-white artists.
All right. Do you want to start or?
I'd like you to start.
Okay. I mean, I can think of like a multitude of people who I love. One of like the first people that come to mind was Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
When we come up with this topic, I mean, he was just a kick-ass guitar player. I mean, there are no words to describe Jimi Hendrix. He was just so phenomenal, gone way, way too young.
Yeah.
As you guys know, he's a member of the 27 Club. And if you don't know what that is, I'm just going to let you look it up because it's basically stars who've died at the age of 27. And you can look up more information about it online.
And who it is and the tragedies that went along with that. I'm going to start off. There's a couple that I really want to talk about, but I want to talk about Mr. William Duvall. He is the now lead singer of Alice in Chains. Of course, Lane Staley passed away in 2006 on my birthday. And, of course, the band was kind of not knowing where to go, and they brought him on. And there are now 3 albums under their belt. Wow. Black Gives Way to Blue, The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, and Rainier Fog. All 3 phenomenal albums. But one reason why I don't have that much money for my Record Store Day fund is I follow him on his Facebook page. And he said, hey, guys, I know y'all had a lot of demand for my album One Alone, which came out last year. And he basically was selling signed copies on black vinyl for that record. And I didn't think twice. I ponied up the money. It was $40, but I ponied up the money for that. Not even hearing one song, knowing that he was just singing on it was going to be enough for me because, my goodness, he's one of my favorite singers. And, when he and Jerry kind of get together and harmonize, yes, he brings his own flavor to the old songs. I love what Lane brought to the old songs, but he adds his own flavor. But if you hear some of his newer songs with the band, like Your Decision, Black Gives Way to Blue, there's some really deep, dark cuts on some of these albums. And he's just one of my favorites. And I think it was just kind of cool that I got the signed record because the second to last time I saw them, I bought VIP for the Lunatic Luau, which was canceled this year, unfortunately. I was actually supposed to see Volbeat Disturbed this year, which I'm bummed about, but it is what it is. But just to see, we're all quarantining up, and he basically made sure that there was a way to hear his music, and I think it was just icing on the cake that he signed it. But I would have bought it anyway because it's William Duvall. There are very, 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 very few artists that I will pony up $40 plus for a record or $40 plus for an item. That's Alice in Chains, Paramore, Tonight Alive, Diamante. That's about it. Those 4 people I will spend over what I honestly should with my financial situation because I want to support those artists. And if you go listen to One Alone, it is a amazing, fantastic acoustic album. And with my new speakers and me listening to this album, I'm telling you, there's no flaw with this pressing whatsoever. It sounds like he is performing a private concert in my house.
Man, that's awesome.
I recommend you go listen to it. It's all acoustic album. He adds his own flair. Of course, if you know Alice in Chains, he's an excellent guitar player. I mean, not doing comparisons, Jimi Hendrix is pretty good, and he's pretty good too. I mean, if you've ever seen Alice in Chains live, once the pandemic is over, I highly recommend you go see Alice in Chains live. That you might have to pay a little bit more, but they always, always, always put on a good show. And if you know any of their songs, it's basically a gigantic sing-along. Everybody's singing along. Everybody's having a good time. And it kills me that people are like, well, it's not the same since Lane died. Yes, but are you going to say the same thing about Mike Inez, who also is a man of color? because Mike Starr was the original bassist and he died too. So you can't use that argument.
There you go. I mean,
you can tell I'm very passionate about Alice in Chains.
Very true. Yeah, I know a lot of their popular stuff, but I don't know much more than that. So
I would say Devil Put Dinosaurs here is, it's not poking fun at Christians, but it's more of, science versus Christianity on some things. So you might not be too comfortable with some of that, but it's also how you interpret the song too, because somebody writes a song for them, but someone could interpret it another way. I honestly, some of the lyrics in that, me as a Christian, can actually interpret a good way. So it really just depends on, like you said, your perceptions and everything and all of that, which are completely valid. But I would say check out Black Gives Way to Blue. It has Your Decision on there. It has Check My Brain on there. Some really, really good songs from Jerry on there. If you're more of a heavy metal mood, I would definitely check out Lab Monkey from Devil Put Dinosaurs here. Hollow is just a kick your ass kind of song, like kick you in the teeth kind of song. There's just like some heavy like bass on some of their songs. So we might do a full Alice in Chains episode. I have a feeling I'll have enough to talk about. But going back to it, Mike Inez is my favorite bassist of all time. Like, if I could have a dream band, Mike Inez would be in that band. He is that good of a bassist to me.
Idea for another podcast: dream band lineups.
Yes, alive or dead. Oh,
yeah.
Lineup.
We have to do it. We have to do that at some point.
All right, I have a pen and paper. I'm writing it down.
Boom.
That's another podcast, and we could say why and kind of drive from there. Oh, yes. Next episode. I think that might be a good thing. It's the next episode.
Yeah, totally. I am down for that. Now it's just narrowing down like my choices.
Actually, what I think we could do is do the super group and then do off of that our perfect lineup of like a festival.
Ooh, yeah.
So it'd be like our favorite like ideas for like a super group, like my idea, your idea, and then maybe we both collectively do one, and then we also do a concert lineup.
Ooh.
I think that'll be a fun episode.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited about this now. We got the ideas rolling.
All right. So who do you want to hype up next?
I mean, this would not be complete without talking about Little Richard.
Oh, yeah, Yep. Amen.
I love Little Richard. Yeah. He was one of the first artists of color that I was introduced to when I was younger. I mean, and he is just so talented.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when I went to Memphis, I was, maybe 7 or 8 or so. And I was really big into Elvis. A lot of you who know me know that was like my introduction to music, and how I really, really got into music was through Elvis. But we got this VIP package that included a tour of Sun Studios and a couple other museums and stuff in the Memphis area. And of course, there was a lot of Little Richard suits and like letters and just a bunch of different memorabilia and items from Little Richard around those museums and things like that because of his influence in the Tennessee area. I mean, it was just so cool seeing that. And that was like really when I first got into Little Richard, honestly, was around that time. And I just always thought he was so mesmerizing and so cool to watch. So
and
I have to give him a shout out.
Yeah. And I also love when he was singing about the rubber ducky. That's one of my favorite childhood memories.
Yeah.
Just him in general is just a favorite childhood memory, whether it be on whenever they showed him on TV or even being like a kids program. It's him, he, was there. And I'd like to give a shout out to Chubby Checker.
Yes.
One of my earliest favorite songs was Let's Twist Again. I still have the 45. And I remember just listening to it. And of course, the twist, too.
Uh-huh.
But I actually had the opportunity to see Chubby Checker live.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was I forget how many years ago. I think it was at least my dad passed away, so that was 11 years ago. So it was at least 8 or so years ago, and it was one of
Mm-hmm.
those. I live within an hour of Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, so it was one of those free concerts along with your park admission.
Uh-huh.
I was so excited because it's like, oh, I can finally see one of my childhood favorites. Man, he aged like fine wine. He was awesome. And what was really funny is half the kids who are younger than me was like, I'm going to use a very rare swear here. Who the fuck is this? And I'm like, you are being disrespectful, because back then, you think there were some shocking dances now? Those shocking dances were the twist when he first
Yeah.
put that out. Twisting your hips and going down and twisting like that. Yeah, that was the twerking of its day.
Yeah, I mean that's very true.
And what's really funny is I saw, the kids trying to do this. There was this old dude who was like, all right, hold my beer. Kids, sit down. He out twisted everybody. Like getting down low. You could tell he loved this song. And that memory always sticks with me. Is I don't remember all the songs, but my favorite songs has always been that song that I hate to classify it as what's called a dance song, like teaching you how to do a dance song.
Uh-huh.
But that is still one of my favorite childhood songs. Like playing it over and over and over and over and over again. I love that song. I need to revisit it, because my friend Aaron, who also has a YouTube page, we're shouting out everybody today. Shout out to all the love in the VC here. But he had not the second pressing of one of the Chubby Checkers albums, and I told basically reminded me of that concert, and that's kind of what sparked this conversation. Was just thinking about what's going on and just wanting to shout out. So here's to you, Chubby Checker.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Who else do I have on my list that I can think of? Aretha Franklin was another fine lady that we lost recently in 2018 now, right?
Yeah.
And man, her voice was just so soulful. And I mean, everybody knows RESPECT.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, she has so many good hits and so many good songs, but I love her voice. She's one of my favorite female vocalists. And, honestly, I really didn't get into her much until, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago or so. Not very long. I just really kind of knew like her bigger hits, and I really got into her because her vocals were just so good.
Yes.
And I mean, she was such a doll too when she was younger. Like her little hairdo was just so cute. Like I loved her little big poofy hair. It was so cute.
Is that called the bouffant, right?
Yeah. I was trying to think of the name of that.
Bouffant. One of my favorite moments of hers was when she was in the Blues Brothers.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen the Blues Brothers? Has it been a while?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it's a comedy movie, but the amount of freaking respect they had. They had Ray Charles in there, and they were dancing and singing with like freaking Ray Charles. Ray Charles is someone I'd like to shout up eventually, but yeah, they respected the music of that area. Yes, it was a comedy movie, but it was a respectful comedy. Yes, it's adult comedy. You have freaking Carrie Fisher with the rocket launcher in that movie, but
yeah. That's been a long time. Wow, yeah.
You should I have the DVD where it's the extended version and the normal version. Extended means the extended version is just extra couple of songs, which if you're a music fan, watch the extended version. There's extended sequences.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't say hello Siri if you caught that.
I was wondering what that was. Like Siri.
But just there's so many artists, and I think I would like to continue because we could talk here for hours, but I have quite a few more. Of course, Ray Charles. We can't not talk about Ray Charles.
Yeah.
An icon, a legend, And not to do the same vein, because I just think of it, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many songs I love by those two. And y'all know I love my Billy Joel. One of my favorite songs of all time is the duet he did with Ray Charles, Baby Grant.
Yes, that is such a good song.
Like, I can put that on, literally just close the door in the room and just weep tears, because just to the power and like just the energy that both those guys brought in, and just you could hear Ray's voice and all the years that were, wear down on somebody. I don't know how, again, I need to do my research, but you could just hear the soulfulness in his voice. He had just such a deep, soulful voice. And then, of course, Stevie Wonder, so many like big songs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
he had so many hits.
Who do you want to shout out next?
Oh my gosh, are we going like rapid fire now?
Well, we kind of are rapid fire, because it's just the way our minds work.
Yeah. I guess some of the others that were like sticking out for me were like Chuck Berry and Prince.
Yep.
Marvin Gaye was another one that would have been like kind of stuck out at me for a little bit. Louis Armstrong. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, amazing.
James Brown.
Yeah. Michael Jackson. Is he like? Is he? Is that okay to mention Michael Jackson? I know there's controversy around him.
One of my buddies loves Michael Jackson, and we talked about the day that we knew when he passed. Mm-hmm. I think we're okay to talk about him.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's like some slight controversy around that, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I love MJ. So
yeah, same. I remember watching. There was a documentary that came out just after he had passed about like one of his final shows and what it would have been like. And you could just tell the genius that he had in his mind.
He was a legend.
Yeah. And I did a piece on my other now defunct podcast where I talked for, I think, close to an hour on Prince. Like, I can't not think about Prince when we're talking about this. My favorite all-time Super Bowl performance is Prince. Hands down, no holds bar, Prince, because he took time out of his own Super Bowl performance to cover and give shout out to the Foo Fighters and to other artists. Like, he covered other artists, and come on, Purple Rain in the pouring down rain with a marching band.
Yeah,
you are not going to get any better than that.
I agree. I mean, hello.
It's this last Super Bowl, instead of watching whatever was on because I wasn't interested, I paused it, found it on Facebook, and we watched the whole Prince Super Bowl performance.
Wow.
That, to me, I love that performance to death, and I actually come back to his performance of Purple Rain in general, but his performance of Purple Rain during that Super Bowl performance, and I am still blown away. Like, I think they said, can you make it rain any harder? It's kind of like God made like the perfect stage that night. Mm-hmm. It's just, Prince was a big one. It's as we get older, people, unfortunately pass away and all of that. But it's, there's just so many artists out there that without the influence of Black artists, we would not have metal. We would not have punk. Oh, there's a punk band. Yes, that's it. There's a punk band called Death. There's a documentary called A Band Called Death. Not to be confused with the metal band Death that's out there right now. Go look it up. A Band Called Death. Oh my goodness, this is heavy metal mixed with punk. Like, if you want your mind blown, take a look for that album by the band called Death. Like, oh my... I was not expecting it to be this heavy and this awesome, but my mind was blown when I heard this.
I will have to check it out for sure.
Yes. Go ahead and give some shout outs to artists. I'm trying to think of how there's so many.
Whitney Houston.
Yep.
Biggie. Tupac.
Yep.
So I know that like whole East Coast West Coast thing, but like I love them both. Can't help it. Um, let's see, Nat King Cole, Miles Davis.
Yep.
Um,
I gotta
let's
give
see.
shout out to Coolio
Yeah.
and Snoop Dogg. I was recently listening to the Space Jam soundtrack, which is one of my favorite things that I have now from Record Store Day. Yes, it's unfortunate what happened with R. Kelly, and I'm disavowing everything that he has done, especially because we can listen to Michael Jackson and still disavow even if, what you want to publicly believe or not. But my God, I believe I can fly. I can't not listen to that song for some reason. But I'm serious. Whatever 90s hip hop was, music has to gel with me. That gels so much with me. And not very many artists today gel with me like that, unfortunately. But it's 90s hip hop. For some reason, that just gels with me so much. And the amount of hair gel I use probably gels with me too, but let's be honest.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think. Is there any more that I can think of? I mean, you have modern artists like Alicia Keys and Mariah Carey and Beyonce.
I need to shout out Pharrell Williams. I need to shout out Pharrell Williams. He is a local
John
boy.
Legend. He's huge.
The reason John Legend, of course, EGOT. I mean, come on. The reason I shout out Pharrell is he's from Virginia Beach.
Ooh, nice.
He was literally this year for Something in the Water Festival going to bring Foo Fighters to the beach.
Oh, that's so awesome.
But it's really expensive because it's a festival and I wasn't going to fight traffic. But he actually brought freaking Foo Fighters down here. He was going to bring Foo Fighters.
That's awesome.
Like, this festival brought so many people here that it was just, it's unfathomable. He brought so much tourism here. And guess what? Police presence were there, no arrests.
Wow.
He also offered a free Sunday church service with famous choirs and more famous around the country choirs that you could go to this church service for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
He has also been an advocate for our area. There's a new music venue that's supposed to pop up, kind of like the Norva, but there's also an indoor surfing. He has brought that to our area. He has tried to help people who are in need with meals and stuff. I will defend Pharrell Williams till the end of time. He is a local artist. He loves this area. He's trying to bring good things to this area. And come on, happy. I mean, how can you not be happy listening to that song?
That is very true.
Missy Elliott, of course. How can I not? How can I not? She's from here too. How could I not shout out Missy Elliott? Come on.
Yeah. We got Queen Latifah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love Queen Latifah. And even if we're saying these things, there are probably 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 more that you should check out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton I'm not thinking of at the moment or that we honestly probably won't have the time to discuss all in one night. But
exactly. I don't like most of her music, but Beyonce, of course.
Yeah, I'm not a big Beyonce fan. Never really gotten into her.
Music doesn't gel with me. But when she was in TLC, I loved that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I just never got big into Beyonce. I don't know if it was because I was just like, nah, I'm not going to listen to pop music. That's not me. I don't like that. I don't know. There was a phase where I was kind of like, meh. But yeah, I don't know. But she's talented in her own way. Just because I don't like her doesn't mean she's not talented. Yeah. I mean, she's incredible, and a lot of people around the world love her. So
yeah, one of my best friends loves Beyonce, and I'm like, you celebrate her, dude. You celebrate her. Of course, Childish Gambino, don't love her. I love what Childish Gambino does. Kendrick Lamar, Lauryn Hill,
Yeah.
Janet Jackson. We need to talk about Smokey Robinson, of course.
Yeah. Let's see.
Billie Holiday, Diana Ross, Alicia Keys, Tina Turner. How can we forget Tina Turner?
Yeah, no, I was trying to think. See, we were trying to think, and
Nina Simone. I just have I have my list up on my phone. Nina Simone, Elia, Janelle Monáe, Mary J. Blige. Like Lionel Richie. Come on.
Yeah.
Isaac Hayes. How could I forget Isaac Hayes? Did you mention Duke Ellington?
I did not.
And Ella Fitzgerald. I think we...
Yeah, I was going to say Ella Fitzgerald. Have we mentioned her? Because legend.
Yeah. Etta James.
Yeah.
Luther Vandross, of course. John Coltrane. How could I forget Otis Redding?
Yeah.
Of course, Quincy Jones. I think you mentioned Miles Davis.
I did.
Patti LaBelle.
Oh, yeah. You can't forget Patti.
Yeah, it's like we said, there's just so many artists that I don't even realize how many black artists that I love, because while we can visually see the color of the skin, it doesn't matter to me in my head what the color of the skin is. It's just a pigmentation, people. Grow up.
Yeah, totally.
This is all we can do right now is just talk about some of our favorite artists, just because, you know, we want to shout them out. You know, there are just so many artists that even if we're not mentioning them, they could be underground, and I could be like, oh, have you heard this artist before? I'm like, no. And I could be like, oh, they're so amazing. So if you are anybody, I forgot one, the lead singer, Lee from Pop Evil. That's the main one I wanted to shout out. Lee is so awesome of a dude. You know, it's not just black music. We're talking about all skin colors of music, non-white. But, of course, Lee from there. Salt and Pepper. How can we not? Of course. You said TLC earlier. I'm taking a look at a bunch of lists to see if I've forgotten anybody else.
I know.
NWA.
I feel like I'm forgetting people, and I know I am.
And then we'll be like, damn it, Temptations.
Yeah.
But you know, there's just so many artists out there, and there's so many musical genres. Even rock and roll would not be rock and roll without the pioneers. Like you said, Chuck Berry. Even before then, you know, it's there was a one of the 10 inches that came out for Record Store Day that was like the 78 shellac, but it was actual pressed like normal, and you just had to have the 78 speed. Sweet Home Chicago, one of my favorite blues songs. I would have loved to have had it, but I would have had no way to playing it, so I had to skip on it.
Man.
And circling back, something the Blues Brothers covered. So there's just so many artists, and we just wanted to take a little bit of time to shout them out. I don't have any more thoughts. Did you want to start wrapping us up for this episode?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I can think of anything else, and nothing comes to mind.
No.
Unless I'm gonna actually do a video here in the next little bit about Vinyl Me Please. I've been subscribed to them for a couple of months. I kind of wanted to do like an overall review and like my thoughts on the service.
Yeah.
So this month is like the last of like the 3-month subscription that I signed up for. And the album of the month was John Mayer's Continuum. And I'm not going to support John Mayer. I want to throw it out there that, you know, when I was younger and John Mayer was really popular, I was never super huge into his music.
Yeah.
I never really got to like, you know, look up his personality and things he said in interviews and things like that. And when they were hyping up the releases for this month of July, everyone was talking about John Mayer's racist remarks and
Yeah.
sexist remarks. So do yourself a favor, educate yourself, and swap your record of the month if you are signed up for the essentials. I just had to get that out there
Yep.
because I can't support John Mayer.
No.
And I was actually really excited about it when I heard speculation that it was John Mayer. I was like, you know what? I never really like listened to him when he was popular. Maybe I should. And then when every comment on Twitter and Instagram was telling me how awful of a person he is, I can't support that. So
I used to like one song by him, and as much as I like it, I'm not going to listen to it ever again, especially because how he treated Taylor Swift. The song is called Half of My Heart, and as much as I used to really love that song, I need to just make sure that I don't listen to it.
Yeah, I can't even think about him. So if you don't know the whole John Mayer situation, educate yourself. Please. And don't buy the record.
Yeah, and also educate yourself on all we found and all we've said during this. Be vigilant out there, educate yourself, and that's the best you can do. So with that, I think we are good to wrap up. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I think I'm good.
I think I'm good too. It's been great to be back. Right now, as of the recording of this, I don't know when we could do this again, but it's good to be back.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to finally find, as things kind of start getting less crazy, as crazy as they can be, I think we'll find a good, I guess, mix of time. Just keep a listen out for us. Follow us on our social medias. We always put that down below. I should tweet more often, but at the same time, I open up Twitter and I see something horrible, and I'm like, no, I don't feel like dealing with this today.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am with Twitter. I'm just like, not today.
Yeah, but it's how we keep in contact. So,
yeah,
we might need a redundancy plan if we both just decide to stop Twitter.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we'll have to talk about that after this. But be kind to yourself, be kind to your neighbor, and take some time to listen. That's what I could say is just take some time to listen. Reach out to some of your friends who you haven't talked to in a while, or you know a bit, and hear their perspective on things. Don't be afraid. If you're comfortable enough with them, and you know that they know you're in there for good intention, I think you can have a nice dialogue to fully understand what's going on. So with that, as I say at the end of every single thing I do, when the waters get rough, please, please keep on sailing, keep on going, especially in these times. I believe in you. You can do this. Be kind to your fellow human being. This is not political. Wear your damn mask. I'm going to say it right here, right now. Don't be selfish. This is not a political thing. We're dealing with something that is human. And now that we have all of this coming out in the open, this is a time where we can embrace ourselves as humans. And, when things get rough, please keep going. I know I could say as much as I want that I believe in you. And I'm pretty sure my co-host believes in you too.
I do, of course. If you ever need anything, please reach out.
Yes. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk about people. And don't be afraid to feel during this. What you are feeling to you is valid. Don't let anybody else say that. Your feelings are valid to you. And with that, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.